Today we are going to see what is the IT infrastructure. So, to work in the organization, which type of a IT infrastructure organization should provide to the employees so that the employees work efficiently or they will feel comfortable in the organization in a compatibility purpose also as well as with the by considering people also. Okay. So information technology, that is information technology, IT infrastructure consists of the facilities that are needed by the organization to function. These facilities are in the form of hardware, software, networks, and the services that combine to form applications that are used by the organizations. Okay, such as e-commerce, then materials management, accounting, and customer relationship management. So these facilities, like means computer software and the network facilities, their services are to be provided in within the infrastructure by the organization. So such facilities are in the form of functions also like e-commerce, material management, accounting, and customer relation management to get the benefits from the business in the form of business. So customer relationship management, that means it is the relationship that is maintained with the customers by the organization or by the industry to into the market to make the position of the organization into the market. So the examples are here client computers such as desktop and the laptops that employees of the organization use about 300 at TBZ. Okay, so TBZ is the company Tribundas Birji is a noted Indian jeweler and a jewelry retailer chain which is based in India. Retail chain based in India. So it is located in Mumbai and has deployed VMware and vSphere 4. They are using these type of platforms to work for a data. They are also using the virtualization to help streamline their IT infrastructure and also centralize their IT infrastructure, the server architecture, and reduces the cost. Why they are making the virtualization? So the central server, which is accessed, it is assumed that it's physically accessed by the multiple website owners. Okay, so the clients, customers, or the users, they may access these server location from different locations and from a one location. That means they are accessing the server from different locations. Different website owners can access the data, same data. So servers that host the applications needed by the organization and at PPZ after the virtualization, the firm used about 60 servers to run the number of applications. The virtualization used is to several number of users they can hear the data. They can use the data, access the data. Routers, switches, cables, and the wireless devices that constitutes the network used by the organization. So this will include services obtained from the external internet service providers. So there may be the external service providers who is responsible to provide this type of a services to the organization, like routers, switches, cables, wireless devices, etc. Okay. Organization wide and function specific applications such as email, databases, enterprise software, etc. So at TBZ, these applications supported business applications at all stores. So they have some type of a emails, database applications, enterprise software, so that at every location, whichever stores are there, they can manage business applications with the help of these software the applications. Okay, so they can manage their business. So that is nothing but this means this type of a infrastructure is to be provided in the organization. Okay. supports facilities for the users, such as help desk for maintaining and upgrading hardware of the software. So this is regarding the every organization. In the any organization, support facilities are available for the users. That is nothing but the help desk, maintenance, as well as upgrading the hardware and software. Physical facilities such as air conditioned rooms and the offices. Okay, so infrastructure must provide this type of facilities also to the employees. So house, hardware, software, and the personals. So this type of a facilities are to be the organization must provide to the employees. Training and development facilities for the employees. The training and the development facilities also to be provided to the users or the staffs to enhance their skills also for solving the problems. Okay. Creating and maintaining the standards for IT, including procurement. So whatever this to maintain the standards and for creating and maintaining the standards for IT, we need to include procurement. That means the technology, series of a work that is to be introduced in the organization. That is called as a IT procurement. So IT procurement, that is the activities are combined into single process. Okay, and this process allows means that is a key strategy process, and the process allows determine the requirements for the IT system and communicating with the suppliers. That is means IT procurement, as well as assume the quality of product. Whatever the quality of the product is, that is to be measured depending on these aspects. IT infrastructure decisions. So to take means to develop IT infrastructure, the IT infrastructure questions that any organization may consider, like business needs, and another one that is regarding the IT infrastructure questions. They are regarding with the technology issues. Okay, an organization can think over this. So what business needs have to be made with the infrastructure components. So whenever organization is trying to give IT infrastructure to the employees at that time, they must think over this, what type of a IT infrastructure components needed by the organization. So this they need to identify. So self-explanatory and has to be answered by identifying the complete set of needs for which support is needed. For which type of a support is needed by the organization, identify that number of the requirements. Okay, that number of the business needs. Second one, how does the technology helps the organization compete? So for commercial firms, the infrastructure choices have to reflect their competitive needs. Okay, so they need to reflect their competitive needs. And third one, that is the technology appropriate for the task? This organization need to decide whether whatever the technology you have chosen in the organization, in the infrastructure, whether it is appropriate for the organization or not. Means the question highlights the issues of considering alternative technologies. That means if there are number of technologies, alternatives to the technology available in the market, then addressing the need of organizations, then how then organization need to decide proper appropriate technology for the organization. So among the present alternatives, is the technology the best in its class? So this question addresses the quality of technology choices. So in comparison to price paid for it, so whatever price paid for the technology compared to the price, whether the technology is giving that much of a output or not. So that is IT infrastructure decisions. So this type of a question may arises whenever the IT infrastructure is IT infrastructure provided to the employees in the organization. Okay. IT infrastructure questions, and now different type of a questions may arise, that is the technology issues, regarding to the technology issues. So is the technology
scalable. So whatever the technology your organization is providing, whether it is scalable or not. So that is need to that is the need to identify. Scalability means what? Whenever more number of users are using this technology, whether it is performing well or not, whether it is giving better performance than earlier or not. So that is means the technology is scalable. So is the technology scalable? Is the technology is interoperable? Interoperability means ability of software or the technology to exchange and make use of the information. So that is called as the interoperability. Okay. Then what is the technology roadmap? So how the technology is going on, how the technology is working, that is the roadmap. What is the renewal cycle? So whether the technology is to be renewed after some days or after expiry date of the technology or after the new version, whether it is renewable or not. So that is the thing the organization need to, that is the issue that organization need to think over. So is there vendor support? Is there any vendor support? If it is there, then how it the vendor provides support to the technology? What will be the nature of technology lock-in? Okay, and whether you have to make the software or to buy this or buy the technology or make the technology. So likewise, the question arises whenever the IT infrastructure thinks regarding technology issues. So these technology issues may arises whenever the IT infrastructure is to be incorporated in the organization for the employees. There are many number of IT infrastructure components. So infrastructure components are divided into three categories: hardware, software, and the networks. First, we'll see the hardware. So this is the part which are the related to the infrastructure. Means which components in which components the organization can provide in the infrastructure in the form of infrastructure. Hardware, that is the processor. You know about this processor. Each cycle consists of two parts: instruction cycle and execution cycle. Okay, instruction cycle, the data and the instructions are fetched from the external memory and they are decoded for the running them to the gates. And second cycle, that means execution cycle, where the instructions are and the data that is to be fed through the gates and results are to be stored again to the register. So that is means a hardware. In the hardware, again, main types of devices: desktop, laptop, servers. You know all the desktops, laptops, and the servers. Then handheld computers. Then we'll go through the software. Software, that means what? It is the application software which is used by the user to perform their work. Okay, so there may be many number of languages are used by the user or applications to perform work of the user. Operating system, that is also one type of a application which is provided to the user. Okay, so that is also performs various tasks according to the priorities. Linux also, there is open source operating system which provides security to the user, so that more number of users they are widely using this open source software. Okay, so Ubuntu, there are many number of versions Linux are Ubuntu, Red Hats, SUSE. Okay, so these type of a operating systems are to be provided. Windows also one type of operating system which is sold by the Microsoft Corporation. So Windows is particularly properly on desktop, so but its variants are also used on the servers. So Windows also one type of a software. Since Windows system is threatened by over 1 million viruses, so that it is to be infected. So it is there is need to protect the Windows, and there you need to install antivirus. Sorry, the security software that comes at the additional cost in case of the Windows. Same like that, my Mac OS, Solaris, these are the Software is provided in the organization. Application software. Application software is nothing but which allows the user to use the computer to do their work. So many number of application softwares are also available. Here we can see database software. So there are many number of a database. This is made by the organizations. That is, Oracle Corporation has made the Oracle database, MySQL. That is also one type of a open source database. So why it is used to store the data and retrieve the data? It is a relational database, so it is to be stored in a particular format. Okay. Enterprise software, that is the application, that is enterprise resource planning software consisting of application modules that can be used for the entire operations of the organization. So ERP are the projects which are used in the organization for the organization to perform multiple number of modules. So it is the application module that is used for performing the entire operations of the organization, that is ERP. Okay. Here the example is to be given, that is of a SAP. Okay. SAP, that is it is a German firm, SAP AG, and SAP has been formed and has been adopted by the organizations from the educational department as well as to the commercial organization in a different industries. Okay, so it is application or it is application which is used for the ERP softwares. Okay. The next one is utilities. Okay, utilities, that is some of the software packages that are to be designed to perform specific tasks, means they are related to managing the files and the data on the computer. So what type of a utilities or the software packages are to be provided? See the example. Compression software, which is used to reduce the file size. Then editor, which is tool used which allows the users to write a note in a plain text. Calendar, which is used by the user to schedule the activities. File browser, which is allows the users to see the files or search the files in their accounts and manage them. So likewise the utilities are to be provided. Networking, so hardware we have seen, software we have seen, now networking. What is the use of networking? So what does this component will do? The most popular application to access the internet is the browser. So example, that is, you know about Mozilla and the Internet Explorer Chrome. So most widely used application on the internet, that is email. Okay. And the other popular networking application which allows communication with each other on the internet, that is Skype packages, which allows the user to chat with each other, to communicate with each other, text each other, text the messages to each other, as well as directly talk with each other through voice and video. Okay, so this type of a networking is to be provided, networking infrastructure to be provided in the organization. Multimedia softwares, you know, multimedia software packages that allow the user to either view or modify the files containing images, music, or the video data. Photoshop software you already known about this multimedia softwares. Now, software development. So by using these applications, the large number of application packages that have been written for the purpose of writing software program. That is nothing but a development of a software program, that is nothing but a software which is made by the user, that may be in any language. Games and the entertainment. So widely used with the home computers. It is used with the home computers. Embedded softwares, Embedded software, that means the devices or the electric board which is connected to the electronic devices or the equipment. These are to be connected to the your device, that is chips or the device. It is connected to human being or it is connected to the camera, so that it will perform better, it will give the better security. See, has gained popularity of late owing to widespread use of special purpose chips in a devices. So where you can use in a mobile, in a computer, these devices you can use. In a camera also, these devices can be used to sense the activities. Okay? So the mobile phones, electronics, as well as health monitoring equipments, the sensors in the car, consumer electronic devices like televisions and the cable set-top box is also used as a embedded software. They are also using embedded software. Okay, why we are operating a remote on means we are operating TV on a remote. So that is the example of embedded software. Why it is? Because there is some chip, there is some communication between TV and the, through the chips, and by sensing the light, cameras and sensors in a industrial machinery. So there are different number of embedded softwares which is written in a high level languages such as Java and the C. So then compiled specially for these chips. So that is nothing but a softwares. So here we'll stop, and the next part we'll see next.